to the Instagram stories for Monday, September 8th. I'm your host, Daniel Hill. On Mondays, we talk about what the head of Instagram, Adam Mosseri, answered on his weekly Ask Me Anything. And this week, we'll be getting into some questions about reach, like does scheduling posts lower reach? We'll also talk about the iPad app, if you can post content from the iPad app, and why did the iPad app take so long to make? We'll also talk about the translation that AI is doing on Instagram and when it will be available in more languages. All of that and more on today's episode, but first, here's a quick word from our sponsors. Welcome back. We're getting into the questions and answers from the head of Instagram, and let's start with all the reach-related questions. The first one, does scheduling posts lower reach?
No, scheduling posts does not lower your reach. I schedule posts all the time.
All right, let's move on. The next question has to do with when you've created reels that are not performing very well and what you could potentially do differently. The question, any tips to make my reels perform better? Getting lower views for the last couple. Whenever I run into this, I try to get my friends involved in the reels because although I would like to think that I am incredibly interesting, I know that it's much more interesting when I have other people included in the reels when we're all doing something interesting or educational or funny together.
I suggest looking for patterns. So don't overreact to any one reel that did really well or really poorly, but organize your reels into groups. I do AMAs, I do announcements, I do hidden gems where I talk about my favorite features you might not know about, what's equivalent for you, and then look for patterns across those groups. So do certain types of reels you make tend to do better than others and why? Maybe they're more sendable or their like rate is higher. When you're evaluating those groups, look at the likes per impression and the sends per impression and the watch time per person. These will give you a sense for those of whom did see that content, how it interacted, and then try to double down on what worked and reinvent what didn't.
Okay, since we're talking about reach, let's move on to another reach question for Reels. Which factors matter most for Reels performance? So interestingly, his answer is not what I expected. It is actually average watch time and like rate and also send rate. But the first two, average watch time and like rate, are actually the most important. This is really good to know. Here's Adam explaining.
For Reels, what matters most is average watch time, like rate, and send rate. So of all the people who saw it, how many liked it, and of all the people who saw it, how many sent that to a friend. Other things matter as well, but those three matter most. You can take a look at your insights and see those. But make sure you normalize by reach, because if a lot of people saw it and very few of them liked it, that matters more than the number of likes, for instance.
Moving on, the next question. Is it important to engage before posting? I've heard people say that before you make a new post, you should go around and comment on a variety of different people's posts, those who have interacted with your content before, and those who have maybe never seen your content before. And then when you post the next thing, this gives you as much chance as possible to get in front of all of those people who you just commented on their posts. That is not at all how it works. And here's the head of Instagram explaining that.
I think this is about a rumor I've heard, which is you need to go in and engage with a bunch of comments on your posts before you post your next post in order to increase reach of your next post. You don't have to do that. That's just a rumor. It's an urban legend. I think it's generally good to engage with the people who've commented on your stuff because it makes them happy. They're more likely to engage again in the future, but it's not going to directly affect the reach of your next post.
Okay, let's move on to some questions about the iPad app. Instagram announced a new iPad app last week. Historically, they had said it was not really a priority for them. So it's a bit strange that they launched it, 15 years after launching Instagram. But there are some specific iPad questions here. The first, can I post content from the iPad app? Yes, of course you can.
Yes, of course. Anything you can do in terms of posting from the mobile app, you can also do from the iPad app.
Okay, the last question about the iPad app. Why did the iPad app take so long to release? Just like I said before, Instagram just didn't have it as a priority.
The biggest reason is it just wasn't a priority for a while. We had only so many people to work on things and lots of other things to do. In retrospect, it took too long. It should happen faster, but glad it's out. Apologies for the delay.
Okay, let's move on to the next one, which is all about the AI voice translations that Instagram has been rolling out. If you're not familiar with this, it will take a video that you've recorded and translate it from English to Spanish and vice versa. This is a really cool feature, but it can be a bit disconcerting if your audience knows that you don't speak Spanish and all of a sudden it seems like you do perfectly. The question, are you adding more languages to voice translations? When?
We are working on more languages. We want to prioritize languages that are the most used on Instagram worldwide. So more to come over the next couple months.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some Instagram feature requests and more. Stick around. Welcome back. Let's dive into some Instagram feature requests. Can you make something so that I can message all of my followers? I love this idea and it would be very helpful. However, I think everyone would overuse it. You do have the option of using broadcast channels though. If someone signs up for your broadcast channel, you can message them as much as you want.
We probably won't build this directly because it would be, I think, heavily abused and become a bit of a spam vector for people, but you can build a channel. And what a channel is a group chat that your followers or anybody really can subscribe to. You can post about that channel, link to that channel, and then you can message anybody who subscribes to that channel directly. That usually ends up being not all your followers, but your most passionate followers who are interested and excited about you being able to message them directly.
Okay, moving on to the next question. Is it a future possibility to create Reels, playlists, or categories? By comparison, both YouTube and TikTok have playlists, and I think they are a great way to group content together on your own content that you've created. On Instagram, you can now link Reels together in a series. But on YouTube, you can also create playlists of other people's content. You could, for instance, create a playlist of recipes that you love, and it could be public, and everyone could subscribe to that playlist if they wanted to. Instagram does not have anything like that. So, although you can link Reels together today, there's no way to group together other people's content and make that public.
We're not working on any playlists right now, but we did just launch the ability to link Reels together. So if you have a couple that are part of the series, you can indicate as much in the product, so check that out.
All right, and the last question we're going to do, can I choose a different cover image for my grid than the post originator on a collab? I don't think you can. No, whoever creates the collaboration post is the one who gets to pick the cover image. It would be cool if each person could pick their individual cover image though.
I don't believe so, no, but that is an interesting idea. On one hand, it might be a little strange that the same reel has different covers, but on the other hand, it's your profile. It seems like you should be able to decide how that reel shows up on your profile. So I'll talk to the team.
Okay, that is going to do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening, and be sure to come back next time for more social media news, strategy, and other things that you should know about.
Let me tell you a couple things that you should know about me. A product manager but do not have a bachelor's degree, but actually that's factually a fraction of me. Another fraction's posting content irregular and irrationally. Still probably won't get a job at the Gram. They forgot, they don't know, or don't care who I am. That's why you never see me at the parties and events. My lack of followers must make me irrelevant. Don't have a course, a book to sell to make a bag of grand. Not a social media marketer, don't represent any brands. Plain to see, don't have an agency, but I got a lot of spam. Just putting in my work without the glitz and glam. Won't catch me eating fish unless it's shrimp or clam. No six pack, no risk that, there's a gym card in my hand. Don't have a full-time job, but I got a lot of plans. Stay plotting, dropping knowledge on TikTok and Instagram.